Hi guys, I'm Dr. Tom Dawson. And before I can get started on the 9-month checkup, I need to get a message out to Grandma. Because as soon as your child starts pulling up on their furniture and trying to cruise around a little bit, Grandma is going to want that child wearing shoes. And I'm here to tell you that your child could go barefooted every day of their life and their feet will develop perfectly normally. Now, I know in the old days we used to have them in little hard-soled, high-top shoes. Those really did more harm than good. There are plenty of famous Kenyan marathoners that ran the marathon barefooted on perfectly great feet. So your child never has to wear shoes. Now, can they wear shoes? Yes. If would look cute with their outfit or if the pavement's hot, it's certainly fine for them to wear shoes. Just make sure that they are big enough for their feet and have soft soles. So no more of the hard sole high tops. But if they want to go barefooted every day, that is totally fine with me and it's not a problem. Now, while we're talking about their feet, do most of their feet turn in at this age? And are most of them bow-legged? And the answer to those things is yes. That has more to do with the way that they were packaged when they were inside you when they were pregnant. Their legs were kind of curled in, and so that makes them kind of bowed for a while. And their feet were turned in just to make the packaging easier. And the cure for that is actually for them to walk on those feet and legs for about the next year or so. And the forces of walking will actually straighten those things out. Now, did we used to put all these folks in kind of fancy, expensive braces? And the answer is yes. And to be honest, after they were in those braces for 6 months for a year, most of their legs straightened out. But it wasn't until we looked at about 100,000 children who couldn't afford the fancy braces, and their legs turned out just as straight. So it turned out those also did more harm than good. So it is very unlikely that your child will need to wear any kind of special braces on their feet. Regarding foods and stuff at this age, I would still like for all children to be on breast milk or formula until they're a year. Is milk evil? And would it be okay to give it to them occasionally? The answer is yes. My first 10 years in practice, we started all babies on regular whole milk when they were 9 months old, and those children did fine. So if you're stuck at McDonald's and all you have is the milk you can buy there and you don't have any breast milk or formula, is it okay to give them the milk at that meal? And the answer to that is yes. Other foods, they'll be working their way through the junior foods at this point. I think that meats are one of those things. Only about 20% of my kiddos will eat meat. The other 80% just won't take meat at this age. However, by the time they get to high school, all the kids in my practice are eating hamburgers, so somewhere they figure it out. But there's plenty of protein in the other foods they're taking at this age. Not taking meats at this age is not a problem. If you do give them meat, make sure that you cut the meat into pieces that are probably the size of their small fingernail as a size guide, just to make sure that the meat doesn't become a choking food. Most children will be able to take the bottle or the cup at this age. I don't think it matters that much which one of the two. A lot of folks worry a lot about being able to get them off the bottle. I really don't have a problem with that. It is also a myth that the time that they can be on the bottle has to be less than a year. The idea that time on the bottle would coincide with the amount of time it takes for the Earth to go around the sun is pretty arbitrary, and so probably not true. I like children to be able to take the cup well by the time they're 15 months and to be off the bottle by the time that they are 18 months. And if you have a problem with that, I have some simple tricks to help you with that. The easiest way to get them to prefer the cup over the bottle, it's pretty easy. You just put things that they like in the cup and things they don't like that much in the bottle. And these are smart guys. They figure out that the things they like are in the cup. So whether they take cup or bottle at this age doesn't bother me either way. Developmentally, the other things that are going to happen at this point, they should be able to sit in the middle of the room okay at this point. They should be able to crawl or have some form of locomotion. Not everyone's going to do the alternating hand type crawl. I have some that'll roll to get from one place to another. I have some that scoot on their bottom. I have some that do sort of a marine crawl. Any of those methods of locomotion, are going to be okay. They should be able to start using their thumb and finger some to pick things up. They'll still use their whole hand to grasp things because they can get more. But occasionally they'll use their thumb and finger. And so that's a good thing for them to practice on. And it lets you know that their vision must be good enough to see those tiny things that they're trying to pick up. So that's a good sign also. At this point, most children will be able to stand holding on to the couch or the coffee table. They should also be able to start pulling themselves to get up to a stand and maybe doing some cruising as they kind of cruise down the coffee table. But here again, when grandma starts worrying that all that standing is going to make them bow-legged, standing will not make them bow-legged. They're already bow-legged, as we discussed. So it's not from their pulling up and standing. The big thing that happens developmentally in terms of what impacts your life is this is when they get a little bit of stranger anxiety and separation anxiety. So for the first 6 months, it kind of broke your heart that they would go to anybody with open hands, even though you were the one doing all the work all day and night. So now it's going to come around to you. You're going to be the most popular person in their life, and they are not going to want to be with other folks. So it makes some things a little tougher. You probably have to get down to where you just have, a couple of favorite babysitters. And when you're going to leave them somewhere, you're probably going to want to leave a little time for that transition to make that a little bit easier. What I don't want you to do is have it where you kind of almost leave 10 times, where you had this parting is such sweet sorrow, kind of thing. So you can spend a little time with them. Sometimes I'll set the timer on my phone so it goes off after 2 minutes, and then you can go, oh, my phone alarm went off. Now I have to go. But this is going to keep going, probably peaks around the time they're 15 months. So enjoy your popularity, but be ready for the challenges that go along with that. Speaking of sleep, this is not an uncommon time for them to start waking up at night again after they've been pretty well sleeping through the night for a while. This is a normal developmental phase. Try to react to that as little as possible. Maybe you can go in and pat them on the bottom and tell them you still love them and leave, but let's try not to form any bad nighttime habits just because they're going through this little brief phase. Some children at this age will start liking things like a teddy bear. Others won't really be interested until they're probably a year and a half old. And this is probably still a little bit too young for your children to be ready for discipline and rules. You can perhaps introduce the concept of no. We may start saying no, and they may start to realize that that's important to you, but they're not quite ready developmentally for rules yet. So at this age, it's still where we remove them from what they're doing that we don't want them to do and get them over here and distract them and get them to doing something else. So the remove and distract method of discipline is still what we use at this age. From a safety standpoint, important things at this age will be gates across the stairs. Ironically, I feel like the gate at the top of the stairs is more important than a gate at the bottom. Both are important, but to fall off a couple of stairs after you've tried to go up a couple from the bottom isn't near as bad as going down the entire flight of stairs starting from the top. But gates at both ends are important. And then the other big issue is, we've talked before about the choking aspect of toys. Any toys that are small enough to go into a paper towel roll, those are probably too small to be around your baby from a choking standpoint. So you have to be careful, especially with some older sibling pieces of toys, and avoid those things. So things are going well. You're almost to a year. I will see you back in 3 months, and good luck.